What do you think of when you see this photograph?
Yeah, it's a long time since I've actually looked at that picture. Thank you. Brings back some memories.
It's beautiful.
Little old Perth hosted the Giants from France for the first time ever in Australia. The diver, who was, I think, 11 or 12 metres tall, and the little girl, 5 or 6 metres tall, he was her uncle. And so they had to find each other on the streets of Perth. On the first day, I recall the little girl in a giant boat, and there was this amazing thrumming sort of soundtrack which added to the atmosphere. I went well ahead with long lenses. They were moving quite slowly, but there was a building site halfway along Terrace Road, and I persuaded the building manager to give me a hard hat and high vis and let me up 4 or 5 floors so that I was overlooking the crowd and looking down Terrace Road at the little girl coming along towards me. And then as they got closer, wide-angle lenses came out, and I was able to look down and get the sense of the crowd. Well over 1 million people turned out over 3 days to watch the two giants, who were controlled by little people known as little Puchions. I recall under a spotlight, a giant area of Langley Park was set aside, and they essentially sort of went off to sleep. I was so enthralled by it, I actually worked every day, despite not being rostered on, so that I could just be part of it. The following day, they awoke as dawn came on, and off they went again through the streets of Perth. We knew that something was going to happen at that point on the route. Massive crowds. I climbed up onto a bus stop, the top of a bus stop, waiting for this event to take place with a long lens, a 300mm lens. It happened very quickly. The puppet took a little girl on her arm, and they gazed into each other's eyes. And it was a very emotional moment. I didn't know if I was going to get that back view, or the side view that occurred was just gold. For me, it was magic, and it made the page 1 the next day. This little girl must have been absolutely beside herself. There she is, gazing into the eyes of a puppet. It's a doll. They have an emotional attachment in that picture, don't they?
It's extraordinary.
I can recall one shot when they, on a Saturday after left Wellington Square in East Perth, came up down Godric Street in front of the Catholic Cathedral, St Mary's. And I'm way back, I think, with a 300 or 600mm lens, and it squeezes a perspective and just shows the scale and the size of these puppets. There was a 3-tier car park alongside Godric Street, and that was just crammed with people on every level. The little girl took a shower. Partway down one of the streets, she stopped and had a pee. There was a very eccentric director who was in charge of the Giants. They were his babies. He was a real character. A Saturday afternoon, I remember shooting again from way off to try and sort of squeeze up that perspective with a long lens, just filling the frame with the helmet of the giant and getting the eyes. And behind him were high-rise buildings. And the balconies in those buildings were full of people. This was such a major, unusual event for Perth that our editor and our picture editor wanted multiple photographers to be out day and night to make sure we didn't miss one part of this great event.
How did they leave, and what were you doing?
It was kept a little bit secret, but we knew that they were going to be put onto a barge off Langley Park, just there in East Perth. I anticipated that if I was on the Narrows Bridge with a 600mm lens, that I could look back at them coming towards me on a barge. And so I parked in South Perth, hoofed it onto the Narrows Bridge with my long lens, and then waited. I think I was there 2 or 3 hours, and it was a glorious day. The Swan River was just sparkling. The little girl and the giant sitting on this black barge, surrounded by boats. Great Perth scene. The editor loved this picture. It's the biggest picture I have ever had published in the newspaper, because it was run as a wide photograph, landscape shaped like that. It was run right around the front and the back pages. Yeah, never had that before or since. We in Perth knew that we were experiencing something special